Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to the Angry Birds fans hangout. And I'm your host Hydro. And we're back here to discuss the Eagles versus Browns preseason game that just occurred. So before we start, I just want to let everybody know, don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, let your friends know, let all the Eagle fans know to follow us here on our podcast. We're on Podbean. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Podchasers. We're on iHeartRadio, and we also have a channel on YouTube that I post our podcast recordings to, so that way you can go over there and listen to it or watch the video of our podcast if you can't catch it here or live. And I'm also on Twitter. I'm at UMCIE, or you can search for Angry Bird Fans Hangout, and you can catch me on Twitter. You can comment on there. You can message me on there, and I'll respond back to you. Like I said, this podcast is for Eagles fans. For all the Eagles fans out there, this is for you to come here and to cheer your team, to have discussions about our team, about players, what direction they're going in. Are they playing good? Are they playing bad? And what our hopes are for their future. So I just want to welcome everybody that's listening right now. And for those of you who will come in later, but we are live. So you can come in here and you can call in, or you can, if you don't want to call in or you don't want to talk, then you can comment on here, and I will respond to your comments. I will mention your comments here on this live podcast. So since we got the formalities out the way, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So we're going to discuss how the team did, both on offense and defense and special teams. It wasn't a bad game. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, but none of the starters played, of course. I kind of figured that was going to happen, and because there was bad weather in Cleveland, it was pretty much raining all day. But by the time the game started, the rain had subsided, but the field was probably still a little bit wet. So that probably kind of helped Coach Sirianni make the decision on which starters or not to play the starters, because, with a wet field and that type of, that inclement weather, it can cause a lot of injuries. So none of the starters played. The only starter that played was Quez Watkins, and that was on the offense. And we'll get into his play here in a few minutes. But let's start off with the offense. So Gardner Minshew, who is a backup quarterback to Jalen Hurts, started the game. He did not have he had a pretty good game. With all the reports in camp saying that he's been struggling, he's been throwing a lot of interceptions, he hasn't been doing too well, he actually looked pretty decent, in this game. He went 14 for 17 and for 142 yards. That's not bad. He only missed 3 passes. And those 3 passes, they were kind of bad passes. Well, we get into it. So we get into the first drive. The Eagles received the ball, and then they pretty much came out running the ball. Boston Scott was the starting running back. And like I mentioned before on my past broadcast, Boston Scott was one of my favorite running backs last year. He's actually been one of my favorite running backs since he's been here. With his height, the way he runs the ball, he's kind of pretty much an underdog story. So he kind of reminds me of, Sproles a little bit. But he's very talented. It's kind of weird to say he's the third running back in this offense, but the way he performed today, he might be, he could be fine for that backup role, since he started this game. So I don't know if they started him because of stuff that happened with Gainwell during the joint practices, if he wasn't doing well during the practices. So they was like, okay, we're going to start Boston Scott ahead of him. But he got to start first. And it wasn't, it wasn't a disappointment. So like on his first run, he ran for like 13 yards. It was like on the outside. And then he got a pass, like a swing pass from Gardner Minshew, and that was like 11-yard pass. So straight off the bat, he got first downs. And for majority of that first drive, I think there was only 3 passes during that first drive, and it was, I think, one was to Pascal for a 10-yard gain. Rager had like a slant. Quez Watkins had a catch. I think those were the three passes, but for the majority of the time, we was running the ball, and we did good. We went all the way down the field and we scored. So scored on the first drive. Okay, so the next drive we come out, Gardner Minshew. I think he didn't even have an incompletion on that first drive. I think the one incompletion he did have was a pass it was like a pass interference, I think, if I remember correctly. But then on the second drive, he had his first incompletion, but it was almost picked. Like, he threw it. I can't remember who was throwing it to, but he threw it and went off the hands of the receiver. So it kind of like went up in the air, and then the Cleveland Brown defender went for it, but the receiver, I want to say it was, Pascal, knocked it out of the defender's hand. So that was almost a an interception. So, but it's still not bad though, because when that's his first incompletion, and he was like throwing like some weird passes, into coverage, but our receivers were doing a pretty good job of catching the ball, like in that traffic. So I give our receivers, you know, you know, um, I give our receivers props because they did a great job in catching those balls. Because in like some most other receivers probably would have dropped it because you're catching it, and by the time you catch, you got somebody on your back, and I mean, I was kind of surprised, especially for our second string guys. Um, Gainwell started out on that second drive, and he ran pretty good too. I mean, I don't think he ran as good as Boston Scott did, but he did break some runs up the middle. He had like a 10-yard gain. He lost yards on one play, but on the next one, he ran up the middle and had a 12-yard gain. So our line was, our second string line was looking pretty good today. Like, there was not a lot of pressures on Gardner Minshew. I don't even think he got sacked once. So they held up their own. Rodgers had a holding penalty, so I've been looking at the tight ends kind of closely because you have Calcaterra, you have Tagiai, and you have Rodgers. They're fighting for that third spot, or maybe for a practice squad spot or something, or just for the third spot, because I think Jack Stoll has that spot kind of locked down for the offense at tight end, or Jack Stoll, yeah. So, Dallas Goedert would be the starter, Jack Stoll would be the backup. So we're kind of looking to see who's going to be behind Jack Stoll if something happens to Goddard and they have to bring in Jack Stoll and have a backup for him. But Tagiai is actually looking good. So among the let me see, among the tight ends that were playing today, I would say, hold on, I'm looking at the wrong. I'm trying to look at because I was keeping notes on there. Yeah, Tagiai had the most receptions, and I like Richard Rodgers. In the past, since we've had him here, he's been a pretty good backup tight end. Like when he's come in, he's a really good blocker. He catches the ball. Like he rarely has drops. He had a really good catch in this game too. Um, now, Covey, he had a nice catch after getting hit. Like it was like I said, Gardner Minshew was throwing like it was just weird because he was like throwing to receivers that had people on them, but he threw it to Covey, and Covey immediately got hit as soon as the ball got there. Like he got hit, and I was thinking, man, he didn't catch that. Like I thought I was gonna see the ball rolling out, but he came up with it, so he had a pretty good catch. But I was going to this later, but um, Deion Kane, man, like I said, I'll go into that later. But Deion Kane had a nice catch over a cornerback from Minshew, and I mean he was looking good this whole game. Um, like I said, the second line looks good, but they allowed in the red zone. We tried to run it up, but they allowed the defensive line to get in and apply, you know, to stop the run in the backfield. So we had a run for a loss in the red zone. So the Browns defensive line actually was playing pretty good in the red zone. They're like hitting the holes. They're not getting pushed. They were not getting pushed back towards the end zone. But we end up scoring again on that second drive. Um, and so like the offense with Gardner Minshew was, I mean, I would give them an A. They looked really good. Like the Browns couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop the run. Gardner Minshew was hitting his passes, and I mean they scored. I mean they scored 14 points. They should have scored 21 points. We went for it on fourth down inside the red zone. I think it was like fourth from the 3 or 4 yard line. I don't know what Gardner Minshew was looking at because I think he tried to hit. I forget who he tried to hit. I want to say it was uh, one of the tight ends. I don't know if it's Tagiai or Rogers, but he had Huntley opened in the back of the end zone. So if he would have just waited, if he would have just baited the guys to make it look like he was going to throw it to the receiver, and then he could have just threw it to the back of the end zone and hit Huntley, we would have had a touchdown. We would have had 21 points at that time. And I think it was like, I want to say it was like 14-10 at that point. But the second half, the offense comes out and it's a net, which I was like really worried at that time. Well, the Browns came out and they took the lead. They went all the way down and scored, but I'll get into the defense. But the offense comes out, Sinet's at the helm, and it didn't look good on that first drive. Sinet, like Huntley was the running back, and he just wasn't getting anything. Like even on that, well, in the first half they brought Huntley in. He wasn't doing too well in the first half. I'm sorry, after coming in, replacing Gainwell. But the line, I kind of attribute that to the line because when Huntley got the ball a couple of times in that first half, when he went to the outside, it was already like it got blown up. Like their defensive line was doing really good near that red zone. They was blowing everything up. Like Huntley had nowhere to go, and I hate to say it, but I think if we would have had Boston Scott or Gainwell as a running back out there, we would have probably scored. But Huntley's not as elusive as those guys. He's more of a straight up and down runner. So we lost like yards trying to run the ball in there. But in the second half, he came out. He came out good, looking good. He was gaining a good chunk of yards, getting first downs. But Sinet was looking horrible on that first drive, so we ended up having a punt, like the first punt of the game. And, you know, so the Browns got the ball back, and then I think that's when our defense stopped them. They ended up punting or trying to kick a field goal and missed it. I can't remember. But then we got the ball back. And then on that next drive, Sinet hits Devin Allen, the biggest surprise of the day for me in that game. Like if you would have told me he would have hit Devin Allen for on a bomb, like on a go route, I would have looked at you crazy. But it happened. Like he hit him for 55 yards. Like there was like no, like you could see how fast Devin Allen was, because like the closest cornerback was probably like not even 5 yards. It was probably more than 5 yards, and he took it to the house. So that's when we took the lead. From then on, I don't think we gave it up. But Sinet was avoiding pressures pretty good on that drive. In the second half, he was avoiding pressures. He was running. It was one where I thought like he was gonna get sacked twice on the play, but he ended up avoiding it. But it was a good block by I think Sills. I think he's like the third, one of the third string offensive lineman. But he had came back, and if he didn't close in on one of the defensive linemen, like Sinet would have got tackled instead of gaining a couple of yards. He would have got sacked. But that was on Seal, because not more of like Sinet moving around. Like Seal came in and sealed that block. They got Sinet to gain a couple of yards. Then we had DeAndre Torrey, the backup running back. He was looking good out there. Like I didn't know. I was like, who the heck is that? Like, but he looked fast and he looked pretty strong running the ball. Jared Williams, I think he was one of the third string or maybe even fourth string tackles. He got beat and got Sinet sacked on the drive. Like I said, Seals looked good. He did a seal block. Like that third string offensive line wasn't doing time. I mean, they were playing like some pressure, but they actually held their own. And then Carson Strong finally came into play at the last like 4 minutes of the game, and I don't remember him throwing a pass. I was kind of like already kind of phased out at that point. Like, okay, we're probably gonna win this game now after they missed they went for it on that fourth, like the Browns went for it on fourth down. We stopped them, and I was like, we're gonna win. So I didn't watch anymore, but we were trying to run the ball out anyways. I think that's why they put Carson Strong in there. But I really want to see him. I hope he plays in this last preseason game, against Miami. I just want to see what he has. So, but all in all, I would give the offense an A, because they looked. I mean, the second string offense looked pretty good. Like I was kind of like amazed, like they would drive the ball, because I thought Gardner Minshew would have at least thrown one interception. So he almost had 2 picks, I would say. One was because he kept throwing into traffic. I mean, I think that's what it was, and just it was kind of weird, but because he wasn't leading guys open, like he was just throwing it to him. But one thing I was saying, with that kind of passing, he was like creating pass interferences. So we got a few pass interferences from the DBs on our receivers, because when they were running those slant routes, he was just throwing it like even like when the guy was on them. So, but I would say the player on offense that today was Deion King. Man, that guy, he was going off. He was like everything that was thrown to him, he was catching. I think like towards the end, it was just some like Sinet wasn't throwing some good like passes to him. I think it was just one he did. Like I thought he almost caught it, but it just wasn't. They weren't good passes from Sinet. So, but if we look at the, so I would say, yeah, I would say, out of all the receivers, Deion Kane was going off. Like he had at least like 5 or 6 receptions today. Zach Pascal had one. Jalen Rager had two, surprisingly. And he kind of like this, like he wasn't. It was kind of disappointing today because I expected him to do a lot more out there, especially playing against twos. Like he should have had more. Like he should have had Deion Kane numbers out there. And then I think John Hightower had one, and Devin Allen had one, of course, which was a touchdown. So I didn't even really expect him to have that, honestly. But all in all, the receivers, they played pretty good. Oh, Brenton Covey had one, but he dropped one too though. And I don't know if but I always say if it touches your hands, you should have caught it because the DB I don't think had anything to do with him dropping that pass. So kind of like I don't know if it was a bad pass because just the way the angle looked, it looked like he should have caught it, but they didn't show a different angle, so I can't really knock him for it. But he did drop one. Deion Kane, he would have had like 7, but he got targeted at least like 8 times. Let's see who else. And Kennedy Brooks was, doing some pretty good runs too. Like I think with our line, you could bring in like any back as long as they're fast and they have good, you know, they have a good IQ of like in running the ball. Um, they're going to do good in the offense. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But our line is definitely, doing a good job. I'm very interested in seeing the first string offense. Now, after seeing the second string offense do pretty well, like I want to see the first string. And like messing these guys up in the offense, there's probably not going to be that much of a drop off, honestly. Like you could take, if we have a lineman go down, one of these guys could step in and it'd probably be no different. There'll be no difference. Like I said, the only area that I'm really concerned about is in the tight end. But running back, I'm really like even Miles Sanders, I'm not even concerned about that because you got Bon Scott, got Kenny Gainwell. You could bring in one of these guys out the practice squad, and man, they'll still we could probably still be one of the leading rushing teams in the NFL. All right, so let me see. So who do I think will be okay? So who do I think will be the starting or will be the receivers on the team? So you basically want to know who do I think is going to get cut? Okay. After today is they made it difficult today, honestly, because I didn't think Devin Allen was going to do anything, and then he ended up like getting a touchdown off that bomb. But I wanted to see him catch more. It's not. I can't get a good feel for him just off that one pass because we already know he's fast. Now the question was, can he catch? But I want to see him run a route and catch a ball, like doing like a crossing route, going across the middle, or even doing an out route with a cornerback on him. But I mean, if we keep Devin Allen, I mean, he's going to be like a Deshaun Jackson type of receiver or Quez Watkins. Like he's just going to be a deep threat. But honestly, I don't see them keeping him on here because we had Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal. So it's pretty much going to be between Jalen Rager, Deion Kane, and Brent Covey. And after today, if I had to pick between those 3, I would pick Deion Kane. He just looked outstanding out there. He was amazing Like he was like if I had to pick an offensive player for the game today, it would be Deion King. He would, hands down, that's my vote. All right, so we're gonna step over to the defense. Now, the defense was a different story. I would give them probably a C. I mean, I was really disappointed in the defense, honestly, in the way they played. Even though they were the second string guys, there were no starters that played. Um, yeah, there was none of the starters played. I didn't see any. They might have, but I didn't see any out there. I tried to keep track of everybody's on there. It was kind of hard, like seeing the numbers for the backup guys, like because the announcers on the game was kind of they were like they never said anything about who tackled on our team, and they were always cut to the sideline. So it was kind of hard seeing who was on the field. Um, but a majority of all the second and third stringers, except maybe for the ones that are injured, because there were some people that I didn't see. They might have played out there, but I just didn't see them, or they didn't do anything. So if I seen them around the ball or anything, I'll try to catch who they were, and then I would kind of like record it to see who was out there. But let's start with the defense. So Dobbs, he was starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. So Jacoby Brissett, he's a backup, but he's going to be the starter because of what happened with Deshaun Watson and his suspension. So Jacoby Brissett is pretty much starter. So we basically were going up against a third string quarterback. And Dobbs, he's been in the NFL for a little while now, but he's never had a starting position. Like he's always come in like on the like if somebody got injured, he'll come in and play, but he's never even been that great of a quarterback. So for him to be cooking our defense out there is like pretty concerning, even though these were the second and third and fourth guys, you know what I'm saying? But still, it's still concerning. So he went for 14 for 20, 141, and he had 47 yards rushing. So most of that yardage came off that one run where he ran to the left, and I'll go into that. So Shashir, okay, first of all, there was no pressure on the quarterback. He was back there. He could look around. If nobody was open, then he would, I'm just going to take off and try to run, or I'm going to roll out and I'm going to create more time for these guys to get open. Like I was kind of like, how the heck is he getting all this? Like, where's the pressure at? You know. So they did bring Shashir on a blitz, and he ended up grabbing his Dobbs undershirt and ripping it. Like, dude, like you had like a straight shot at this guy, and all you got was a shirt. Like, really? And like, so he missed that tackle. Should have been a sack. And then Dobbs rose and starts running the ball. He's running down the sideline, and and this I understand because same thing happened to Jalen Hurts in the first preseason game where he was running, and then he just started going out of bounds, but that's when he got hit out of bounds. So they probably thought that he was going to run out of bounds, so they kind of like hesitated and like were soft tackling him because they didn't want to get penalized for a late hit on the quarterback running out of bounds. So when they like kind of like hit him, like, okay, we're just gonna knock him out, but they didn't hit him hard enough to knock him out. So he stayed in bounds and still like went like almost like 20 more yards on the run before he got tackled. They almost missed the tackle. I can't remember who almost missed that tackle. I want to say it had been one of the safeties, maybe Josiah Scott, I think, was the one that almost missed the tackle. But and he would have scored. It was crazy. So, so they couldn't stop the run. It was just poor tackling. Like it just seemed like there was no pressure on the quarterback. They weren't blowing up the offensive line. Like they weren't getting any pressure into the backfield. They weren't stopping the run for loss. Like it was just like the running back was past the line of scrimmage into the secondary already. Like nobody touched them, and if they did touch them, they missed a tackle. They were arm tackling, and that's probably one of the bad things about not tackling during practice, because this is like your first chance to actually hit somebody in a preseason game. But they should already have practice from doing it with the Jets. So I just don't understand like how they were like tackling so bad. Like it was, I don't know, just man, it was just surprising to me they weren't tackling that well. And Kobe Dean, he did not look good out there because I was keeping an eye on him, and I think he may have made one or two plays because when they were running the ball, they have a lineman or a tight end come up and try to block him, and he would wait for them to come up to him instead of hitting the hole. Like, you have to hit the hole. This ain't college. Like, you got to get to the hole before that lineman gets into that second you know gets that second push and to that second level, because you're at the second level, you got to keep that lineman from getting to the second level, because if the lineman gets to the second level, the running back's going to get to the second level. So he really didn't impress me out there. Like, it was I don't know, I just thought he would be around. I thought he would be flying around the ball more, making more tackles, but everybody was tackling bad out there. He was not the only one. um and so they ended up scoring on the first drive. So yeah, there was no surprise to that. Then on their second drive, Gowan has a chance to intercept a ball, but then the receiver like took it from him. Like, he got mossed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how. Like, that the receiver should not caught the ball. Like, even if you're trying to like at least just break it up, just knock the ball to the ground. And Teron Jackson, like, he been like all the reports have been he's been playing good, but no pressure on quarterback. He was missing tackles. Like, he was getting outran, around the edge. Like, it was just like Dobbs was just making him look like he didn't doesn't even look like a backup defensive end to me out there. He looked like a third string. Um Shashir, he had a nice pass breakup. I think that caused they had third down. He broke up a pass, and they ended up kicking a field goal, and that they I think they made that field goal. And then Patrick Johnson was missing tackles out there. Um, like, I don't see him being the backup, honestly. Kyron Johnson, he was out there making plays, but I mean, it was with lesser talent. But he just, like, to me, for the eye test, Kyron Johnson just looks better than Patrick Johnson to me for some reason. Like, I think right now he should be the backup. Um, there is, like, just throughout that second, like that first half, there was like no pressure on the quarterback. Jordan Davis came in for one play, I believe, and they ended up running a screenplay. And how the line, they let the line come in, so he came in, but he kind of like he saw he saw what was happening, and then he was able to readjust and go. But by the time, I mean, he readjusted, like, the back already caught the ball, was gone, but he went and chased after the running back that had the ball. So, I mean, he didn't do anything today. I think he only played that one play. I didn't see him any other time. If he did, he didn't do anything. Uh, Kayvon Wallace was out there tackling. Like, I was impressed by him today. Like, if there was somebody open, because usually, like I said, they weren't tackling well, so the running back got into this on the second level, and then he got past the linebackers. And if the cornerbacks were missing tackles, Kayvon Wallace was there to tackle. He was tackling. I mean, I gotta give him his props. I mean, I do see him being a good backup. Like, after seeing him today, I was impressed with him. I mean, he wasn't the best defensive player out there, but I mean, he was not that far. He was making, out of most people, he was making tackles. So um so the second half comes back out, same thing, still poor tackling Cleveland Browns get the ball and they march all the way down the field and they score. Sean Bradley, I mean, he had a good. Sean Bradley was out there tackling. Um, he had a good solo tackle on a running back. Um, they had a 3rd and long, and they probably would not have converted it, but Matt Leo had a neutral zone infraction, and it made a 3rd and 5, and then they were able to convert that. So just can't do those type of penalties during a game. You know that could be a game changer right there. Jackson, Taron Jackson, like it was one play where they had him fall back into coverage, and so I think at this time they had I don't think Dobbs was the quarterback. I think it was Rosen was in there. I could be mistaken, but whoever it was, they rolled right, and it was a 3rd down, I believe, too. So they threw it, and Taron Jackson was like right there in front of the freaking receiver. Like I don't know how, like he extended his hands. I do not know how he didn't break up that pass, man. But he was just not playing that well today. Like, so the best tackler on the team was, to me, was between Sean Bradley and Jaquiski Tart. Jaquiski Tart. That's a lot of words, you know. That's a that is a good tongue twister of a name, Jaquiski Tart. He was probably the best tackler out there, man. Every time I seen him, he was hitting people, man. He hit I want to say it was, I don't know if it was a receiver or no, I think it was a running back, man. He like, man, that was probably the best tackle I saw out there. Like he was doing his thing. Kyron Johnson, he was getting good pressure on a quarterback. They was probably bringing him off the edge as a Sam, and he was getting there, but he just wasn't like getting the sack. But he was putting pressure on him. That's why I saw things from him that I didn't see from Patrick Johnson. But the best defensive stop of the game was on that 4th and 1, and Goodrich, I think it was Goodrich, yeah, Mario Goodrich, came up and hit the he hit the sorry, somebody calling me, but he came up and hit the running back and turnover on downs, and what caused a turnover on downs on that one. And Gowan, he was not, I don't know, he just wasn't playing well today. Like I think he had one good pass. Well, I take that back. He did have a good pass breakup in the end zone on that when they did that when they kicked the field goal. That's right, because it was 3rd and goal, and it was like 4 seconds left, and they went through it really quick. But he was there, like he broke up the pass. Like that was probably his best defensive play of the day, was against that, and it was a good one because it didn't cause a touchdown, so can't complain too much about that. But he did cause a PI, or pass interference, to keep a drive alive in the 4th when it should have ended their drive, because I think it was on 3rd down and they kept their drive alive, and that was when I was like, man, they're going to win this game because of stuff like that. But the defense actually stepped it up towards the end and started stopping the Cleveland Browns offense. And Goodrich, even though he did a good play, he missed his assignment on a 4th. They went for on 4th and 4, and it looked like he thought the quarterback was going to pass it to this one receiver, and he like went to jump it, but he should have stayed with the receiver going on, doing the out route. Because I guess they ran that receiver in there to isolate the area, and they just had the one receiver run and out. So he thought they was going to throw it to that guy, probably because it was 4th and 4, so he was probably thinking he's going to come out, do a quick release. But Rosen did a pretty good job of hitting the out route, and that was Goodrich's guy. Then Sean Bradley tackling, and he broke up a 4th down pass. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that from like our linebacking core is freaking crazy. Like that's probably going to be the hardest cuts to make on this defense is that linebacking core. Like who they want to keep. Well, I could tell you who they're going to like. If they want my insight, I'll give it to them. But I just need to know how many linebackers they want to keep on the team. But this is the first time in a while that we've had these many choices at linebacker. I don't remember last time we've had this many linebackers that were playing well. I think of what Matt McCain. Yeah, he had a pass breakup and he had a pretty good tackle. Where like the receiver should have caught the ball, but I think like when Matt McCain hit him, he hit him like it was a good side tackle because he hit him around the waist and like took him straight to the ground. Like the receiver had no choice but to like he just wasn't able to hold on. It was just a good tackle. So other than that, I mean, I would give the defense the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th guys on defense. I'll give them a C today. I mean, because I thought they were going to stop the run. I mean, I kind of figured passing game wasn't, they weren't going to be like that great in stopping the pass, but I guess I was more disappointed in them not stopping the run game, and then especially Dobbs, like letting Dobbs cook you like that, like you can't do that. Like that's a 3rd string quarterback. He's not even a backup quarterback. I mean, he's going to be a backup until Deshaun Watson gets back, but man, it's just I don't know. I just didn't like what I saw from the defense. I would say so. I can't really know the like that's why I just mentioned like I can't say who's going to be the linebacker that's going to get cut or at least taken over to the practice squad. It's kind of hard right now. I looked at him. I mean, Devion Taylor did not play well today. He was nowhere. I mean, I just I don't know. Like he wasn't on too many tackles. He wasn't breaking up any like passes. Like he was getting outran. Like I would see the running back and Devion Taylor like behind him. Like he's supposed to be there in front of the running back, like or at least get an angle and not let him get into the next level on the defense. But I'm concerned with. I mean, I'm actually like this game kind of got me concerned with our backup defensive ends for sure. I mean, Derek Barnett wasn't out there, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, but Teron Jackson was out there. Milton Williams was out there. But they really didn't put any. And Jordan David played once, but they didn't really put any pressure on any of those guys, on any of those quarterbacks. Well, to the end, they start putting pressure probably because they start replacing their linemen, start putting the third and 4th guys in there on the line. So, but I just think we need to bring in at least a better backup defensive end. Like we don't need to bring in a starter. We just need to bring in somebody that was pretty good as a veteran player, but not at his prime, but he could still come in and make contributions right away. So that's what I think we need to bring in on defense. But I mean, as a team overall, like special teams, there's nothing special. Like they didn't really punt the ball that much, so it was kind of like we didn't get to see a lot. So couldn't, like Brent Covey, I think he returned the first kickoff. It wasn't nothing spectacular. Um, like I really don't see him making the team anymore. If you would ask me a couple of weeks ago, was he making the team? Then I'll probably say yes. But now after today, especially like if he probably would have returned a kickoff or a touchdown and maybe like a punt or something, like he didn't get a chance to catch a punt because they put it into the end zone, and he probably would have probably have more ammo to stay on the team. But I mean, other than now, I really don't see him making the team anymore. Not above Deion Kane, man. Deion Kane, oh, he was a monster out there. Like I don't know where we got that guy from, but we need to keep him. If he's gonna be playing like that all year, like we bring him in off the bench, like just to give our guys a break, like during a game, like he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. So, but that's my highlights of the game and just my opinion of what I saw. So the offense I give it A, the defense I give it C because they really didn't start complimenting each other until maybe the fourth quarter. That's when the defense start. I mean, that's when you should kick in a little bit. But I was looking more at the first half. Like to me, the first half was the game because if they would have kept playing, continually playing the rest of the game with those same guys, the defense still probably would have been getting cooked out there. Probably would have been harder. But we were cooking their defense, so I wasn't too worried about that. But other than that, on Tuesday, August 16th, they had to get the roster down to 85. I think there's 87 on the team right now because I think I was missing one. No, I wasn't. No, they have 86. So they got to at least cut one or two people by Tuesday, which is no, not I mean August. I'm sorry, August 23rd. I'm living in the past. Sorry, people. But August 23rd, they got to cut it down to 80. So they're going to have to cut 6 people from the team. And then by August 30th, before 4 p.m., they have to have the 53-man roster already done up. So they got to cut down to the 53-man roster by August 30th. So I'm pretty sure they're going to have an idea of who they're going to cut even before this Miami game. But the next preseason game with Miami, they're probably going to play all the young, like the third and fourth, and like pretty much like some of the same people that play today, but they'll probably play more of the third and fourth guys out there just to see how well they play and see who they're gonna keep maybe on a practice squad or who they're gonna keep on the team. So, but tomorrow, which is 22nd of August, I'm gonna come out with another podcast episode on going over the depth chart. So I'll just run through like who's on there, like who's gonna be the starters, and who's gonna be probably the second string on there, and who we think don't get cut. So I'll just go down the list, and then you could join in and help me and give me your insight on who you think we should keep, who you think's gonna get cut, and then we'll try to get it down to at least 53. And then when that time comes by August 30th, we'll come back and look back. Or maybe after the Miami game, I'm probably have more of my idea who's going to get cut because somebody might not play well, but then another person might play really well during that game. They might change my mind about them, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, I just want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast. And I just want to remind everybody again, please follow, like, subscribe, spread it to your friends who are Eagles fans. The more we could get this channel out there or get this podcast out there, the more Eagles fans we could bring in, the more the more discussions we can have and the more fun we can have while watching our team play and, and throughout the week doing their thing. So, and also catch me on Twitter at UMCIE, or you can search for Angry Birds Fans Hangout. And then you go over to YouTube and you catch us at Angry Birds Fans Hangout on YouTube. You can watch all the episodes of the podcast. You can listen to it, and then you can also watch the videos of the podcast that I make. But until next time.